We live in a world that constantly insists we can't stand on our own. From every angle, the same messages hit us. Our dreams need validation, our choices require approval, and we need someone to guide us through every obstacle. Society whispers that without endless connection we are incomplete, that solitude is the same as loneliness, and that walking alone must mean failure. But what if that story is false? What if the opposite is true? What if the very moments we dread, those times of being completely on our own, are the crucibles where unshakable strength is born? What if the greatest warriors in history, not just those who fought with swords but those who fought in the battlefield of life, discovered their deepest power precisely in the silence of standing apart, steady and unshaken? Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor of Rome, understood this truth. In his private writings he confessed, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." This was a man who commanded the largest empire on earth, surrounded by generals, senators, advisors, and servants. Yet he knew real power did not come from armies or applause. It came from the inner ability to face yourself without distraction, without noise, without drowning in the opinions of the crowd. Think about it. Every breakthrough in your life, every defining moment, likely happened when you stopped waiting for permission and chose to move forward on your own. Growth never comes in the comfort of the crowd. It comes when you step into fear alone, when you enter discomfort without backup, when you decide your vision matters more than their approval. And this is the essence of the Stoic warrior. They don't walk alone because they hate people or reject community. They walk alone because they've discovered that true connection with others only comes after mastering connection with themselves. Solitude is not isolation. It is becoming so deeply anchored in your values and so clear in your purpose that what you give others flows from abundance, not from emptiness. Once you learn this, loneliness transforms into freedom. Freedom from the addiction to validation. Freedom from the heavy chains of expectation. Freedom to live, love, and serve from your authentic self. The path of the Stoic warrior is not easy. It is steep, demanding, and often misunderstood. But it is the only road that leads to real fulfillment. And today we will walk it together. On this journey, we'll uncover 7 timeless principles, lessons that will reshape how you see solitude, how you face challenges, and how you forge a core of strength nothing can break. Each principle builds on the last, and by the end, you won't just understand the way of the Stoic warrior, you'll embody it. If this message already stirs something inside you, let this be your first act of courage. Hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more wisdom on this path. But most importantly, don't miss a single step. Every principle is part of the journey, and you need all 7 to fully claim the way of the Stoic warrior. As we begin, ground yourself with this affirmation in the comments. I walk alone. I rise alone. I win alone. Principle 1. Embrace the sacred solitude. The first principle of the Stoic warrior is radical in its simplicity. Solitude is not punishment. It is sacred. Most people fear being alone because they've never learned to enjoy their own company. The second silence arrives, they scramble to fill it, with noise, with screens, with distractions. Anything to avoid facing their own minds. But within that discomfort lies the greatest treasure. Seneca, one of the most powerful Stoic philosophers, knew this well. Exiled from Rome, cut off from public life, stripped of his power, he didn't crumble. Instead, he turned isolation into a workshop of the soul, writing words that still shape humanity today. Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end, he wrote. His solitude wasn't emptiness. It was fertile soil where wisdom grew. And here's the truth. When you are truly alone, something shifts. The noise of others fades. The pressure to perform, to pretend, to please disappears. What remains is the raw, unfiltered truth of who you really are beneath the masks. For many, this is terrifying. Their entire identity is built on the expectations of others, and without that mirror, they feel exposed. But for the Stoic warrior, that moment is liberation. When was the last time you sat in silence with yourself for more than 10 minutes? No phone, no music, no distractions. Just you and your thoughts. If the idea itself feels unbearable, that's the clearest sign you need it most. Your mind is not your enemy. It is your sharpest weapon. And like any blade, it must be trained, sharpened, and cared for. Sacred solitude is the forge of your moral compass. When no one is there to impress, when there's no audience to perform for, that's when you discover what you truly believe, what you truly value, and what you are truly made of. In solitude, you hear the whispers of wisdom drowned out by constant noise. The Stoic warrior doesn't stumble into it by accident. They schedule it, fiercely protect it, because they know everything else, relationships, work, legacy, flows from the clarity born in those quiet moments. If you're just starting, keep it small. 5 minutes of intentional silence each morning. No goals, no tasks. Just sit, breathe, and watch your thoughts. Then expand it. Walk without headphones, eat in silence, take a solo trip. Soon, you'll discover solitude is not emptiness. It is overflowing. It is the birthplace of creativity, the soil where courage grows, the mirror that shows you who you were before the world told you who to be. The masses fight over external territory, but the Stoic warrior knows the real battlefield is within. And victory is won in the silence, when you face yourself with honesty and courage. Principle 1. Embrace the sacred solitude. The first principle of the Stoic warrior is radical in its simplicity. Solitude is not punishment. It is sacred. Most people fear being alone because they've never learned to enjoy their own company. The second silence arrives, they scramble to fill it, with noise, with screens, with distractions. Anything to avoid facing their own minds. But within that discomfort lies the greatest treasure. Seneca, one of the most powerful Stoic philosophers, knew this well. Exiled from Rome, cut off from public life, stripped of his power, he didn't crumble. Instead, he turned isolation into a workshop of the soul, writing words that still shape humanity today. Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end, he wrote. His solitude wasn't emptiness. It was fertile soil where wisdom grew. And here's the truth. When you are truly alone, something shifts. The noise of others fades. The pressure to perform, to pretend, to please disappears. What remains is the raw, unfiltered truth of who you really are beneath the masks. For many, this is terrifying. Their entire identity is built on the expectations of others, and without that mirror, they feel exposed. But for the Stoic warrior, that moment is liberation. When was the last time you sat in silence with yourself for more than 10 minutes? No phone, no music, no distractions, just you and your thoughts. If the idea itself feels unbearable, that's the clearest sign you need it most. Your mind is not your enemy. It is your sharpest weapon. And like any blade, it must be trained, sharpened, and cared for. Sacred solitude is the forge of your moral compass. When no one is there to impress, when there's no audience to perform for, that's when you discover what you truly believe, what you truly value, and what you are truly made of. In solitude, you hear the whispers of wisdom drowned out by constant noise. The Stoic warrior doesn't stumble into it by accident. They schedule it, fiercely protect it, because they know everything else, relationships, work, legacy, flows from the clarity born in those quiet moments. If you're just starting, keep it small. 5 minutes of intentional silence each morning. No goals, no tasks. Just sit, breathe, and watch your thoughts. Then expand it. Walk without headphones, eat in silence, take a solo trip. Soon, you'll discover solitude is not emptiness. It is overflowing. It is the birthplace of creativity, the soil where courage grows, the mirror that shows you who you were before the world told you who to be. The masses fight over external territory, but the Stoic warrior knows the real battlefield is within. And victory is won in the silence, when you face yourself with honesty and courage. Principle 2. Your opinion of me is none of my business. The second principle sets the Stoic warrior apart from the crowd. It is the realization that what others think of you is beyond your control, and therefore irrelevant to your path. Most people live as prisoners of opinion. They shape their choices around what their parents might say, what their friends might think, what strangers online might judge. But the Stoic warrior breaks those invisible chains. Eleanor Roosevelt captured the idea. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent. The Stoics went even deeper. Epictetus, born a slave yet later one of the greatest teachers in history, taught that it's not events themselves that harm us, but our judgments about them. When someone mocks you, criticizes you, or disapproves, it doesn't actually wound you. It reveals them. The harsh truth? People who judge you are usually weighed down by their own pain. The friend who doubts your dream likely abandoned their own. The relative who ridicules your choices often projects their regrets. Their opinion is not about you, it's about their wounds. The Stoic Warrior builds what I call opinion immunity. This isn't arrogance, nor is it dismissing wise feedback. It's the ability to separate genuine wisdom from background noise. When criticism stings, pause and ask, do they live a life I admire? Do they embody values I respect? Or are they speaking from fear and limitation? Most of the time, their judgment carries no real weight. And here's the trap. The pursuit of approval is a game you cannot win. Please 99 people and the 100th will still disapprove. Reach every worldly achievement, and someone will still tear it down. The only opinion that truly matters is the one staring back at you in the mirror. This principle demands daily practice. Each time you notice yourself bending to impress others, stop. Ask, what would I do if no one was watching? Which choice aligns with my values, regardless of opinion? Then take that step. Start small. Wear something you love even if it's out of fashion. Share an idea even if it's unpopular. Pursue a hobby even if no one understands. Every authentic act strengthens your freedom muscle. The Stoic Warrior knows, life is not a performance for applause. It is the unfolding of your own inner truth. Without discipline, solitude collapses into idleness, and independence dissolves into chaos. Discipline is the invisible architecture that gives freedom its shape. It is the weight that forges the sword of the mind. To the Stoic Warrior, discipline is not punishment. It is self-respect in motion. Marcus Aurelius embodied this truth every day. As Emperor of Rome, temptation surrounded him. Luxury, indulgence, escape. Yet in his journals he reminded himself each morning, at dawn, when you struggle to rise, remind yourself, I must go to work, as a human being. Work, for Marcus, wasn't only about commanding armies or ruling an empire. It was fulfilling humanity's true calling. To live with virtue, to serve others, to grow in strength of character. Discipline is the bridge between desire and destiny. Everyone longs to be strong, wise, admired, fulfilled, but few are willing to pay the cost. Consistency, effort, sacrifice. The Stoic Warrior pays it willingly. Principle 3. Build discipline as your fortress. Picture discipline as a fortress around your soul. Without walls, every distraction, temptation, and weakness storms through unchecked. But with discipline, you remain protected. Life's blows may shake you, but you remain unbroken. Discipline begins in the smallest acts. Rising when you said you would, keeping the promises you made to yourself, saying no to what diminishes you. Each choice is a single brick. Alone, they seem insignificant. Together, they form walls that nothing can breach. Many mistake discipline for restriction. I don't want a rigid, joyless life, they say. But discipline is not about restriction, it is about creation. Just as the painter disciplines hand and eye to master the brush, and the musician disciplines ear and hand to master the instrument, the Stoic Warrior disciplines their body and mind to master life itself. The irony is this: without discipline, you are not free. You are enslaved to cravings, to distractions, to impulses. You eat without hunger, scroll without purpose, procrastinate instead of progressing. You promise yourself tomorrow, and tomorrow never comes. That is true bondage. Freedom only begins when you learn to govern yourself. Epictetus, born into slavery, knew this better than anyone. He declared, "No man is free who is not master of himself." His chains were physical, yet he refused to let them bind his spirit. Through discipline, he walked freer than his masters. The 3 pillars of discipline. Every fortress rests on pillars. For the Stoic Warrior, discipline stands on 3. 1. Body discipline. Your body is your foundation. Without health, everything else crumbles. This doesn't mean chasing impossible perfection. It means treating your body as a vessel of strength. Train it daily. Eat to fuel, not to escape. Rest to recover, not to hide. Each disciplined choice for your body sharpens your spirit. 2. Mind discipline. An untamed mind is a wild beast. The Stoic warrior trains it like a soldier, steady, sharp, unshaken under fire. This requires practice. Reading, reflection, journaling, meditation. Guard your thoughts as treasure. Don't let them be poisoned by endless outrage, shallow entertainment, or cheap distractions. 3. Time discipline. Time is the only currency you can never regain. The Stoic warrior treats every moment as sacred. Do not waste it replaying the past or fearing the future. Use it fully in the present. Structure your days. Cut the trivial. Pour your hours into what strengthens you and serves your higher purpose. Build these pillars daily, and you'll notice something. Temptations weaken. Distractions lose their grip. And the energy once wasted through indulgence is redirected into your mission. How to cultivate discipline daily. Discipline isn't built in a moment. It is forged in 1,000 small victories. Begin here. The rule of one more. When you feel like stopping, push one more time. One more push-up, one more page, one more line written. Each one more declares your will stronger than your comfort. The non-negotiables. Choose 3 daily actions tied to your values and never skip them. Journaling. A walk. Reading philosophy. Consistency, not intensity, builds strength. The evening audit. Every night, reflect. Where did I stand firm? Where did I falter? How can I improve tomorrow? This isn't self-condemnation, it's sharpening the blade. Principle 4. Embrace discomfort as your training ground. Discipline naturally leads here. The art of embracing discomfort. Most people flee from discomfort. They chase ease, convenience, pleasure. But ease is the enemy of growth. The Stoic warrior sees discomfort not as punishment, but as training. Think of the gym. Muscles grow only when tested beyond their limit. The same is true for the mind, the spirit, life itself. Comfort breeds weakness, but discomfort, embraced willingly, transforms you. Seneca practiced this often. Though wealthy, he dressed in rough clothes, ate coarse food, and asked himself, "Is this what I feared?" By confronting hardship voluntarily, he dissolved fear's grip. If he could endure poverty willingly, he knew it could never enslave him. What would happen if you trained yourself the same way? Fast occasionally to prove food doesn't own you. Walk in silence to prove you don't need constant noise. Seek rejection to prove approval doesn't define you. Each voluntary discomfort is a rehearsal for life's real battles. The Stoic warrior doesn't wait for adversity. They prepare daily with small challenges so that when the storm breaks, they are already strong. Discomfort and the modern world. In our age, comfort is everywhere. With one click, you can eat, distract, and avoid effort. But this abundance hides a trap. The more comfortable life becomes, the weaker you risk becoming. The Stoic warrior flips the script. They welcome discomfort, not because they love suffering, but because they know suffering is the forge of greatness. Cold showers, early mornings, hard conversations, long hours of meaningful work, saying no when others say yes. These are not punishments, they are privileges. Each one hardens your will, sharpens resilience, and prepares you for battles others cannot endure. If you want to rise above the average, you must choose the path the average avoids. The Warrior's Creed. At this stage, the Stoic Warrior's Creed takes form. I do not flee from solitude. I embrace it. I do not bow to opinion. I rise above it. I do not resist discipline. I build it as my fortress. I do not avoid discomfort. I train within it. This is not just philosophy, it is a way of living. A creed to be practiced daily until it becomes second nature. We've journeyed through solitude, freedom from opinion, discipline, and the embrace of discomfort. Together, these form the outer armor of the Stoic warrior. Yet the fiercest struggle is not waged against the world outside. it unfolds within. The greatest adversary you will ever face is not another person, nor circumstance, nor fate. It is your own ungoverned emotions. Rage that burns bridges, fear that freezes progress, desire that shackles you to fleeting pleasures, anxiety that strips you of the present moment. The Stoic warrior does not reject emotion. They are human and they feel deeply, but they refuse to kneel before feelings. They harness them, they direct them, they bend them to serve reason. Marcus Aurelius distilled it in a single line. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Principle 5. Master your emotions. Emotions are wild horses. Left untamed, they drag you into ruin. Trained with patience and command, they can carry you further than you ever dreamed. To master emotion is not to kill it, but to understand it, to watch it rise, to pause before responding, to ask, does this feeling serve my mission or sabotage it? The Stoic warrior knows. Anger may ignite energy, but unchecked, it destroys more than it builds. Fear may sharpen caution, but indulged, it imprisons. Desire may inspire, but fed blindly, it enslaves. Thus the task is not elimination, but alignment. Every emotion bows to reason. Every impulse bends to purpose. The training of the mind. How do you achieve mastery? Not by waiting for the storm, but by training daily, like a soldier drilling before battle. Pause and breathe. When emotions surge, do not speak, do not act. Breathe, count, step back. One pause can spare you a lifetime of regret. Name the emotion. Say, I feel anger or I feel fear. Naming creates distance. You are not the emotion, you are the watcher. Test the thought. Ask, is this feeling based on truth or illusion? Am I reacting to reality or imagination? Emotion feeds on distortion. Correct the thought and the storm fades. Choose the response. The warrior asks, what action, guided by reason, serves my goal? Then they act not from impulse but from command. This training turns chaos into clarity. Anger, the false strength. Let's dissect anger. Many mistake it for power, but in truth it is weakness disguised. It requires no strength to lash out, to lose control, to scream. Any fool can rage. Real strength is restraint. Calm in provocation, clarity in insult, silence where words would wound. Seneca devoted an entire treatise to anger, calling it a temporary madness. He was right. Anger blinds reason, poisons judgment, and breeds regret. The Stoic warrior does not suppress anger. They chain it, shape it, release it only in disciplined form. Like fire in a forge, it can create. Like fire in a forest, it destroys. Fear, the phantom enemy. Fear shadows every life. Fear of failure, rejection, loss, death. Yet most fear is phantom, a ghost of the mind. Marcus Aurelius wrote, don't let your imagination be crushed by life as a whole. Stick with the situation at hand. Fear rarely springs from reality. It blooms from imagined futures that may never arrive. The Stoic warrior confronts fear directly. What is the worst that could happen? Can I endure it? Most of the time, the answer is yes. Once you see that, fear shrinks. Epictetus taught, men are not disturbed by things, but by the views they take of them. Fear is not in the event. It is in your interpretation. Train the interpretation, and the fear dissolves. Desire, the silent chain. Desire is subtler than anger or fear. It doesn't shout, it whispers. It seduces with comfort, approval, luxury. And once indulged, it binds you quietly. Seneca warned, it is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more who is poor. You may own wealth, but if wealth owns you, you are still a slave. The Stoic warrior practices deliberate freedom from desire. They enjoy life's gifts, but never cling to them. They eat richly but can fast. They live in comfort, but can endure hardship. They love deeply, but accept loss. Nothing owns them because they refuse to grip too tightly. This does not mean rejecting joy, it means holding joy lightly. Enjoying without dependency. welcoming pleasure as a guest, never bowing to it as a master. That is freedom. Principle 6. Command your attention. Emotions feed on attention. What you fix your gaze upon grows. Obsess over fear, it expands. Dwell on anger, it festers. Indulge desire, it consumes. Thus the warrior learns to govern not only emotion, but attention itself. Attention is life. What you attend to, you become. Today, attention is the most stolen treasure. Every app, every feed, every ad seeks to hijack it. Yield, and your mind fractures into fragments. But reclaim it, and you wield a weapon of mastery. The discipline of focus. Focus is not a gift. It is forged through discipline. Guard the gate. Be ruthless about what enters your mind. If it does not serve your mission, shut it out. Single task. Multitasking weakens presence. Do one thing fully, whether reading, working, or resting. Sacred spaces. Build environments for clarity. A desk for work. A place for reflection. Protect these places fiercely. Attention training. Meditation, journaling, even mindful breathing sharpen focus like steel. Attention, like muscle, strengthens through use. With attention under command, you cease living reactively. You live by design, channeling energy where it matters most. A mind like still water. When emotion is mastered and attention is harnessed, the mind becomes like still water, calm, reflective, undisturbed by storms above. This is not a dead mind. It is vivid, alert, alive. But it is not tossed by every wave of impulse. Sees clearly, chooses wisely, acts firmly. Such a mind is rare in today's age of distraction and reactivity. But it is the mind of the Stoic warrior, crafted daily through discipline. The inner battle. By now the creed grows. I master my emotions, they do not master me. I command my attention, it is not stolen from me. I wield reason as my general, and discipline as my weapon. The warrior's truest victories are invisible. No crowd cheers when you resist anger. No applause greets you when you conquer fear. No one notices when you chain desire or reclaim attention. But these silent triumphs matter more than any battlefield conquest. For the enemy within, once defeated, returns weaker each time. And every victory strengthens you for the next. The Stoic warrior has forged solitude, independence, discipline, resilience, emotional command, and mastery of attention. Yet one adversary towers above all others, unyielding, undefeatable, and inescapable. Time. Time is the silent battlefield. Every tick forward is a step toward the grave. You cannot halt it, you cannot bend it, but you can choose how to spend it. And in that choice, the way you burn your hours, lies the truest proof of whether you live as a warrior or merely a slave. Seneca warned, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." Most people drift as if eternity is guaranteed, burying themselves in trivia, postponing what matters, surrendering day after day to distractions that vanish like smoke. The Stoic warrior does not fall into this trap. They treat time as holy, each hour a treasure, each moment a chance to live in alignment with their mission. Principle 7. Regard time as sacred. To revere time is not to cower before death. It is to honor life. It is to pause before each action and ask, is this worthy of the irreplaceable piece of my existence I am about to sacrifice for it? Lose money you can earn again. Lose possessions you can replace them. But squander time and it is gone forever. Every wasted hour is a fragment of your life cut away. Thus, the Stoic warrior guards time as a soldier guards a fortress. They decline often. They strip away the needless. They dedicate themselves only to what fuels their mission, their craft, their relationships, their growth. Everything else is noise. The illusion of later. The most lethal word in the human language is later. Later I'll follow my dream. Later I'll speak the truth. Later I'll live the way I know I must. But later is a mirage. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. Death keeps no schedule. The Stoic warrior remembers this daily. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think." This is not despair, it is urgency. When you grasp the brevity of life, you stop postponing and begin living. Practical training, living with urgency. How does the warrior practice reverence for time? Nightly review. Each evening, reflect. Was today lived in line with the mission, or was it wasted? Awareness sharpens. Morning purpose. At dawn, set intention. What must I do today to move forward? This prevents drifting. Cut the trivial. Ruthlessly erase what does not matter. Decline obligations that drain without giving. Memento mori. Hold death in mind, not morbidly but clearly. This magnifies the present. With these disciplines, each day becomes a deliberate creation, not an accident. If mastery is your mission, then every wasted hour is an enemy. Distraction does not only steal minutes, it steals progress, momentum, destiny. The Stoic warrior channels hours into sacred labor. Writing, building, teaching, creating, they show up relentlessly. They do not wait for perfect conditions. They wield the time they have. Over years, this devotion compounds into mastery. Greatness is not birthed in sudden bursts, but in steady commitment multiplied across decades. Principle 8. Break free from approval. If time is sacred, you cannot afford to live it for others. Dependency on approval is theft of life. Most people surrender years performing for family, friends, society, or strangers online. They trade dreams for acceptance, values for applause, authenticity for belonging. This is slavery disguised as love. Approval is the leash, fear of judgment the chain. The Stoic warrior severs the chain. They live by reason, principle, mission, not the fickle noise of the crowd. The trap of approval. Why is approval so intoxicating? Because we are social by nature. Belonging meant survival. Rejection meant exile. That ancient fear lingers in our blood. But today, the tribe is billions. Seeking approval from all is impossible. Whatever you do, someone will scorn you, mock you, despise you. If you live by their voices, you will rot in endless anxiety. Seneca asked, "What is it to me if someone despises me, if I know myself to be worthy?" The Stoic warrior seeks approval from one judge only, their own reason. Freedom from the crowd. The warrior wins freedom by realizing the crowd's voice has no power unless you hand it power. Insults, ridicule, criticism, they are only vibrations in air. They wound only if you let them enter your heart. Epictetus counseled, "If someone speaks ill of you, live so that no one believes him. Let your life, not your words, be your defense." This independence is liberation. Unshackled from applause, unmoved by criticism, the warrior acts boldly, authentically, fully alive. Practical training. Severing the chains. To end dependency on approval, the warrior trains. Speak truth. Say what you believe even when it's unpopular. Start small, grow stronger. Act without witness. Do good in silence. If unseen, it still matters. Expect criticism. Anticipate it before acting. Ask, if mocked, does it change what is right? Test solitude. Spend time alone. Learn to trust your own judgment. Through these drills, approval loses its grip. Time and approval. Time and approval intertwine. Living for approval wastes time. Cutting the dependency reclaims it. Every moment spent performing for others is life stolen. Every moment aligned with your mission is life fulfilled. The Stoic warrior chooses the latter. The creed expands. Now the warrior's creed grows sharper. I treat time as sacred, never squandered. I live with urgency, for tomorrow is not promised. I sever my dependency on approval and act from principle. I give my hours to what matters, my mission, my niche, my path. This creed is costly. It demands sacrifice. It demands courage to be misunderstood, even hated. It demands refusal when agreement would be easier. But this creed is freedom. It is the path of those who refuse to drift half asleep, chained by opinion. It is the path of those who live awake, aligned, unstoppable, toward responsibility. From solitude to mastery of attention, from reverence for time to liberation from approval, the warrior has cut illusions, shattered chains, and honed their mind. But one final trial remains: responsibility. To bear the weight willingly, to embrace duty without excuse, to carry life's burdens not as punishment, but as purpose. That is where the path now leads. A warrior who has conquered independence, discipline, time, and freedom from approval still faces one last trial: responsibility. To live without alibis, to shoulder life's weight as willingly as one grips a blade in battle. This is the law of responsibility, the recognition that life is not owed to you, but entrusted to you. That you are not here simply to take, but to give. That existence is not a refuge from duty, but a stage where your character is judged. Principle 9. Confront responsibility without escape. Most people spend their lives dodging responsibility. They shift blame, curse fortune, and excuse their failures. They accuse society, chance, or circumstance. In doing so, they surrender their strength. The Stoic warrior takes the opposite stance. They step forward and declare, "If it is mine to carry, I will carry it." Whether chosen or imposed, whether just or unjust, the warrior bears it without complaint. Why? Because responsibility breeds strength. Each burden is a proving ground. Each duty, a test of character. The nature of responsibility. Responsibility wears many faces. Personal responsibility, mastering your choices, your habits, your discipline. Relational responsibility, showing up for family, friends, and community without excuses. To mission responsibility, devoting yourself to your craft, your calling, your purpose. The universal responsibility, living in harmony with nature and reason as a human being. The weak see these as shackles. The warrior sees them as armor. To accept responsibility is to seize control. To reject it is to drift powerless, blaming the world. The excuse maker versus the warrior. The excuse maker says, "I can't because of my past." The warrior says, "Because of my past, I must." The excuse maker says, "It's not my fault." The warrior says, "Fault doesn't matter. What matters is what I do now." The excuse maker says, "I don't have enough." The warrior says, "I will use what I have, and I will create the rest." Excuses protect weakness. Responsibility forges strength. Practical training. Claiming responsibility. To cultivate responsibility, the Stoic warrior trains deliberately. Immediate ownership. When failure strikes, begin with, "What could I have done differently?" Focus shifts from blame to growth. Silent endurance. Carry duties without endless complaints. Speak less about hardship. Act more to conquer it. A voluntary wait. Take on small tasks, cleaning, helping, leading, so the habit of accountability hardens. A mission alignment. Ask often, "Am I avoiding duties my mission demands?" Then act. With time, these practices sculpt a mind that does not flinch from responsibility but embraces it as strength. The power of responsibility. When you accept responsibility, you gain power. Not power over others, but mastery over yourself, your reactions, your direction. Blame weakens, for it surrenders control. Responsibility strengthens, for it returns control to your hands. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is responsibility distilled. Own your mind, own your life. The final enemy, fear. Responsibility always meets fear. Fear of failure, rejection, death. And this summons the last law of the Stoic warrior. Courage. Responsibility without courage collapses. Responsibility with courage becomes unshakable. Principle 10. Stand with courage against fate. The Stoic warrior does not deny fear. They feel it fully but act regardless. For courage is not the absence of fear, but movement in spite of it. Life will deliver storms. Loss, betrayal, sickness, decline, death. The coward shrinks, curses fate, or flees into distraction. The warrior endures, acts, and stands with dignity until the very end. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." That is courage, the choice to meet fate not with bitterness, but with strength. Training courage. Courage cannot be memorized, it must be lived. The Stoic warrior trains courage by small risks, speak truth in uneasy moments, step into fear daily, voluntary discomfort, practice cold, hunger, silence, solitude. So fear loses its grip, facing mortality. Reflect on death not to despair, but to prepare. Awareness of the end makes you fearless in the now. Choosing action. When hesitation rises, act quickly. Delay feeds fear. Each practice strengthens the muscle of courage. Courage and the mission. Without courage, your mission suffocates. You may know your niche, guard your time, claim responsibility, but fear will paralyze the final step. The Stoic warrior refuses paralysis. They act. They publish, they speak, they launch, they fight. They treat failure as training, not death. Rejection as noise, not judgment. Courage is the bridge from intention to action, from dream to reality. The lineage of warriors. Every Stoic who came before embodied this courage. Marcus Aurelius, guiding Rome through plague and war. Epictetus, once a slave, turning suffering into wisdom. Seneca, ordered to die by Nero, meeting death with composure. Their courage echoes across centuries. Each act of bravery you choose joins that lineage. It proves philosophy is not words, it is lived. The complete creed. The Stoic warrior's creed now stands whole. I embrace solitude and self-reliance. I master discipline and tame desire. I rule my emotions and direct my attention. I treat time as sacred. I end the hunger for approval. I face responsibility without excuse. I rise with courage against fate itself. This is not theory. It is not poetry. It is a way of life. The foundation of unshakable strength amid chaos. Toward the end, the path is drawn. The laws revealed. From excuses to courage, the Stoic warrior stands complete. Yet one last step remains. To unite all laws into a single vision of living. To weave the creed into daily breath and action. To stand not only as a warrior, but as a member of a timeless brotherhood of minds that refused to bow to weakness. That vision awaits in the closing chapter. The 10 laws are not isolated commands. They are stepping stones on a single road, hammered out by fire, forged through discipline, and tempered by reflection. Alone, each law holds power. Together, they form an unshakable shield. And if you choose not just to admire this path but to walk it, to live it, you will not merely endure the chaos of life. You will rise above it. The fall of empires, the rise of the individual. Rome once stood as the colossus of its age. Its armies marched across continents. Its banners shadowed nations. Its reach seemed eternal. Yet Rome decayed. Wealth turned to decadence. Discipline melted into indulgence. Honor was traded for power. And long before barbarians breached its walls, the empire had already collapsed from within. Today, we inhabit another kind of empire, built on technology, speed, distraction, and comfort. It feels untouchable, but the same forces whisper here. Excess, complacency, dependence, and the delusion of permanence. Rome fell. So too can our age. Not always with the thunder of armies, but with the slow erosion of character. The defense is not in governments, systems, or leaders. The defense is to forge an empire within yourself. Strength rooted so deeply in discipline and philosophy that no collapse outside can reach it. This is the Stoic warrior's duty, to withstand chaos by outgrowing it. The crossroads, comfort or courage. Every day, you arrive at a fork in the road. One path leads to comfort, softness, distraction, excuses, safety. The other leads to courage, discipline, struggle, responsibility, freedom, purpose. Most drift toward comfort. It's easy, costs nothing. But comfort is venom disguised as sweetness. It dulls your edge, weakens your resolve, and robs your soul of greatness. The Stoic warrior chooses courage. Not because it is easy, but because it is the only path that leads upward. To choose courage each day is to walk the warrior's path. Moment by moment, breath by breath. This is why the laws matter. They are not abstractions. They are the compass at the crossroads of life. Living urgently, you do not have infinite time. Death is not a far-off horizon. It walks beside you every day. At any instant it may call your name. But this truth is not despair, it is liberation. For when you remember that life is brief, you stop delaying and begin living. You stop wasting hours on gossip, scrolling, or meaningless noise, and instead you create, build, love, fight, and serve. The Stoics called it memento mori, remember you will die. Not as darkness, but as a lantern. Not as fear, but as freedom. For only when you face death do you truly awaken to life. The daily practice of the warrior. How do you embody the laws not as lofty theory, but as lived practice? Through rhythm, through ritual, through daily training. A Stoic warrior's day may unfold like this. Morning reflection. Rise with the sun. Remember mortality. Ask, what will I live for today? Discipline in action. Begin with what is difficult. Train the body, focus the mind, master desire before it rules you. Focused work. Dedicate sacred hours to your craft. Guard your attention. Honor time. Silence strength. Face hardship without complaint. Own responsibility. Act with decisiveness. No excuses. Evening review. Before rest, reflect. What was strong? Where did I falter? How will I rise stronger tomorrow? This rhythm transforms philosophy into flesh, words into habits, laws into life. The lineage of warriors. You are not alone on this road. You walk among giants. Marcus Aurelius writing by lamplight on campaign. Epictetus teaching freedom though chained as a slave. Seneca meeting death with calm resolve. And countless nameless warriors who chose principle over applause. Their battles were different, their times unlike ours, but their struggle was the same. To master the self, to endure fate, to rise above fear. When you live these laws, you join their lineage. You bear their fire forward. You keep alive a tradition the modern world has forgotten. The creed of the warrior. The Stoic warrior lives by a code. Stop making excuses. Embrace discomfort. Master your emotions. Build discipline daily. Tame your desires. Control your attention. Respect time. Break free from the need for approval. Face responsibility without flinching. Stand unbowed before fate. Together, these laws forge a life unbreakable by hardship, untouched by comfort, unsilenced by fear, becoming unstoppable. To be unstoppable does not mean to be untouchable. You will still suffer, still bleed, still stumble, but you will not be broken. To be unstoppable is to rise every time you fall, to walk forward when others quit, to remain steady when others panic, to hold to your mission when the world tempts you with distraction, to face death not with terror, but with unshaken calm. This is the heart of the Stoic warrior, not a life free from pain, but a life untamed by it. Not the absence of struggle, but the mastery of it. Final call. The road is marked. The laws are written. The question is no longer what to do. It is whether you will do it. Will you choose excuses, comfort, and dependence? Or will you shoulder responsibility, honor time, embrace courage, and rise as a warrior of the mind? History is watching. Time is fleeting. The world does not need more spectators. It needs men and women of strength. Not someday. Not tomorrow. Now. So rise. Live urgently. Walk the path of the Stoic warrior. And when death arrives, let it find you standing, calm, unshaken, and free.